Hello, everyone. Today, the market is crashing. Bitcoin's down a little bit. Most things are down today, but the one that is really hurting is this chart right here. NVIDIA, one of the largest companies in the world. NVIDIA is down over 16% in the first couple hours of trading alone. We're yet to see, or at least at the time of recording, we'll see what happens the rest of the day. But in today's video, I want to talk about why AI stocks, in particular NVIDIA, are suffering so much and what Bitcoin has to do about it. Because actually, this is very, very bullish news for Bitcoin. We're going to be talking about the bullish perspective for Bitcoin. So we're going to be talking about NVIDIA. I'm going to be giving my thoughts to it. We're going to cover some other things today, not only the NVIDIA stock plummet from today, but we're also going to be talking about Michael Saylor issuing a new kind of financial product, right? It seems like every other week Michael Saylor's having some big new announcement, but today he has announced the launch of STRK, a new convertible preferred stock offering available to institutional investors and select retail investors. I'm going to briefly cover that, and of course, because people want to know about what Bitcoin price is going to do, we're going to talk about what I expect what Bitcoin price to do through the rest of 2025 into 2026. But much more importantly than this year is beyond this year into the far future, right? So without further ado, let's talk about the AI question and why this is a $100 trillion opportunity for Bitcoin. Everything, everything has an incentive to be built up. Everything has an incentive to improve because people want to see lives improve. People want to see their standard of living improve, right? Everybody, including myself. I'm here at a beautiful beach here in El Salvador. And this very nice house, for example, just like most real estate, has a monetary premium, but eventually Bitcoin's going to eat that monetary premium, right? This house is worth a couple $1,000,000, right? Mostly because of the view, which is right there. Very nice, beautiful view of a private beach right there. And Bitcoin's going to demonetize this. Bitcoin's going to demonetize this asset over time, right? And we say that all the time with the things that are more familiar to us, like gold, like real estate, but it's also true with technologies that have not been invented yet, including artificial intelligence, AI. By the way, I have a little dog friend down here. I'm my little assistant today. Hey, buddy, how you doing? She's a little tired, but anyway, dogs, you know, including dogs, right? Everything deflates against Bitcoin, including AI, not just dogs, not just houses, not just the food you eat, but AI as well. See, a lot of people buy AI stocks, a lot of people buy NVIDIA stock because they expect some sort of monetary premium to what they invent, right? In the same way you buy a piece of real estate on the oceanfront property because you believe the value of that property is going to go up over time. It's the same thing with technology, right? You're going to buy the corporate stock of NVIDIA because you expect the AIs they're going to produce in the future, or the hardware, the software, IP, whatever it is, you believe that is going to result in more profits, more cash flow for the future, and you want an exposure to that. And so you buy that stock, right? You want the prime real estate that's on the ocean front, and you want the prime company that's going to have those cash flows for you. But there's a misunderstanding here, right? There's an altcoin account on Twitter that asked a very good question, which is what inspired my tweet and what is inspiring this video, because many people fail to understand this, in particular if they're into altcoins or don't understand really what's going on with open, neutral, deflationary money that is Bitcoin. This is what this guy says. I barely know anything about AI, so take this as an honest question. From what I'm gathering, DeepSeek just built an AI that's more efficient. It's open source and explains how they did it, so anyone can copy what they did. Isn't that good for AI companies? Not bad? Well, yes and no. It's good for the world. It's good for you and me. It's good for the average person. But for those with a monetary premium, it's very bad. It's the same exact thing with pieces of real estate, right? If you build more houses, if you give more human beings more opportunity for prime real estate that's affordable to them, that they actually can buy, is that good or bad for the investors that own land? Well, actually, it's bad for them because you're sucking out the monetary premium of that asset. But it's good for the people that are living in those houses because we want more people to have beautiful views. And we want more happy little dogs to enjoy the pleasures of nice homes, right? So it's good for the dogs and it's good for the people, but it's bad for the monetary premium of the asset. This is what deflation means, right? And so a lot of this is what doesn't make a lot of sense to me. A lot of people are very bullish on artificial intelligence. A lot of people are very excited about where AI is going, but yet then they buy the AI stock, right? Doesn't make a lot of sense to me, because if NVIDIA is successful at creating more AI, and that AI is open sourced, well, then that undoes their bottom line. That undoes the premium they can get for that AI, right? And this is why food, education, information, media, this is why those things centralize and become closed source. Is because if you're in a fiat standard, you need to give monetary premium to things to retain your purchasing power, right? Just like with landlords. Landlords are incentivized to discourage new building projects for real estate, because if new real estate is built, you're destroying your underlying monetary premium, right? Likewise, NVIDIA wants to have closed source information. All the social media companies want to have closed source information, right? All the food companies and everything else, they want to have monopolies. Why? Because the money itself is a monopoly. The US government has a monopoly on money, and therefore everything else that you're pricing in those dollars trends towards a monopoly. If you are living in an open currency and a neutral currency, an open source currency like Bitcoin, well, then everything would trend away from monopoly, because the new incentive is dump as much of that premium as possible on the market, make it open source, dump it, don't be a monopoly, and then you're going to be able to convert that premium into Bitcoin. So this is what I wrote regarding the topic, that everything falls to the marginal cost of production as technology improves. As we build more houses, create new AIs, have more dogs, have more of everything, the cost of these things is going to go down, right? And likewise, artificial intelligence will trend to more open code, more commonly shared around the world at a cheaper cost, despite being better. This is why NVIDIA shares are tanking, is because there's various kinds of artificial intelligence news, which are having people be scared of AI, right? And a lot of people look at this thinking, oh, well, NVIDIA is still dirt cheap because this is good for AI, right? It's good for AI, but it's not good for NVIDIA stock, right? What is good for the humans and the dogs is not good for the landlords that need to discourage new houses being built, right? It's the same thing with AI. And as AI companies, as their valuations grow, they are going to be victims of their own successful innovations. The more efficiently NVIDIA builds AI, the more competition there's going to be, and the more that is going to trend towards being open sourced. And that means it's going to kill their underlying share price, right? They're putting in all this effort to build something that is being deflated. This, in Bitcoin world, this is one of my large concerns for Bitcoin. Most Bitcoin companies are in exceedingly deflationary business models, right? There are many Bitcoin companies I love and adore, but I'm afraid they're deflationary Bitcoin business models where they're putting in so many millions of dollars, sinking millions of dollars of venture capital funds into whatever product they're developing. But in a couple of years, that product is going to be so cheap and readily available, essentially for free. They are betting on future cash flows and profits, but in them being successful, they're demonetizing the very thing at which they're selling. This is why it's critical. You get some Bitcoin and you get off zero. Most jobs today, most careers people have, is selling stuff that pretty soon is going to be, in economic terms, basically free, right? It's going to be like going house to house, selling cups of oxygen to people, right? It's going to be very difficult in the future for human beings to earn a living in the world where we have hyperabundance, where everything is free, right? Like, yes, you need oxygen. And if I'm an oxygen salesman coming to your door, you need oxygen to live, right? Without this, you die in 2 minutes. But oxygen is so readily available, it's essentially free. And so it doesn't matter how badly the person needs the housing, they need the AI, or they need the food, or they need the oxygen. What matters is, what is the price they're willing to pay for it? And most people, I'm afraid, are going to find themselves in the near future, upon hyperabundance, upon a Bitcoin standard, realizing, wait, my job, my business doesn't make a lot of sense anymore because the thing I'm selling has had so much deflation in its price that, yeah, my quality of life has gone way up, but I don't have any savings, right? It's like I've been saving goats and oxen in ancient Rome, and now oxen and goats are so freaking common that the monetary premium of them has collapsed to zero. It's the same thing. We're continuing along this trend line. What is that trend line? The deflationary forces are forcing the value of said companies down, and no artificial intelligence will transact in corporate shares. AI does not want to trust human beings, and human beings are going to program AI to not trust human beings. What does AI need? AI, similar to human beings, needs something to live. Oxygen is to humans in the same way electricity is to AI. With humans without oxygen, die. Artificial intelligences, computer programs, essentially, that we make up, those need electricity to survive, right? And so what is an AI going to be programmed to store its economic purchasing power in? It's not going to be NVIDIA shares, because that is deflationary. It's trending to zero. It's going to save its energy in Bitcoin, because that Bitcoin is a 24/7, 365 constant changing price cost in electricity. Bitcoin is the money for AIs. Oxygen is the ultimate money for humans, and Bitcoin is the ultimate money for AIs. The difference is there's an endless supply of oxygen, essentially, right? But with Bitcoin, there's only so much Bitcoin. That is the form of money for AIs. And that's what's very funny to me about people that are investing in AI. They actually haven't given AI a lot of thought. They haven't actually thought this through. If NVIDIA is successful and builds AIs, you want to own Bitcoin. You don't want to own NVIDIA stock, because the very AIs they build will be transacting in Bitcoin, not in NVIDIA stock. The play is not, the play on artificial intelligence is not any artificial intelligence stock. It is Bitcoin. Despite NVIDIA being down 16% in the first couple hours of trading alone, NVIDIA is still worth $3 trillion. $3 trillion. Do you understand how much money that is? NVIDIA, the company, is worth 50% more than all of the Bitcoin in the world, despite not having a supply cap like Bitcoin, despite not having an electrical cost like Bitcoin, and despite not being the actual long-term future for AIs. Most people that are buying NVIDIA stock are retail holders or large companies that are betting on the next quarter or the next year having a bigger AI narrative. But the people like you probably, hopefully, and myself understand that the real future in multiple years and decades for AI is in Bitcoin. It's not an NVIDIA stock, right? The AIs of the future will be worth not 3 trillion, but hundreds of trillions of dollars in today's purchasing power. And all of that productivity is going to trend towards Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is the deflationary money that will actually accurately reflect the productivity of those AIs. Most people today are focused on a bond market crisis or new adoption or money printing for Bitcoin price catalysts. And all that is very true. There are tens of trillions of dollars of debt. There's hundreds of trillions of dollars of other assets in the world, right? By the world reallocating to Bitcoin a 2%, 5%, 10%, 30% allocation, that's going to send Bitcoin to millions, tens of millions of dollars. But the really exciting thing for Bitcoin is not any of that reallocation of the current world. The really exciting thing is the creation of a new technological future. That is the true price catalyst, right? That future innovation is a factor 10 times larger than the bond market, right? Your real optimistic scenario for Bitcoin is not that the bond market continues to debase and cannibalize itself and some of that escapes out to Bitcoin. The real exciting thing is to understand that the bond market and the debt spiral is unsustainable because we're making things cheaper and faster and better at a alarming rate, right? Deflation in the real economy is what allows the government to create inflation in nominal currency units. And so the biggest threat to the bond market is not the interest rates. It's not China. The big threat is AI and other kinds of things forcing prices down to the cost of marginal or the marginal cost of production, right? The biggest threat to real estate is building more real estate. And the faster we build more real estate, the more the government is going to need to print money to force up property prices so they can keep tax receipts going and prevent the bond market from imploding. This is the single largest catalyst for the destruction of the bond market and for the hyper Bitcoinization of the future. Bitcoin is going to millions of dollars per coin, but that doesn't even scratch the surface. Why? Bitcoin is priceless in today's technology because future technology is priceless in terms of ancient technology, right? How do you price a pigeon with a note on its foot in terms of a computer that I can make a video and send it to a few thousand people this morning, right? It's inherently priceless. This computer, this microphone, and this YouTube channel is worth literally millions worth of pigeons with the little note on their feet, right? I can give you a longer message with visual explanations, much faster, much quicker, much cheaper. It's not even comparable. How do you price an LED light bulb in terms of candles? You can't, right? You can't price future technology in terms of ancient technology. And likewise, you can't price future technology in terms of today's technology. And Bitcoin, not NVIDIA stock, Bitcoin is the way you can have exposure to future technological progress without the risk of holding a corporate stock. That is why Bitcoin is the single best deal, not only of the century, but of the millennia. There is no other thing you can buy in the planet where you own, without counterparty risk, you own a fraction of the future innovation of technologies that don't even exist yet. People that are buying NVIDIA stock are betting and gambling on the monetary premium of a company at the very early stage of AI. And they're hoping they can sell that premium off to somebody for a higher rate in the future, failing to realize that if you're actually bullish on AI, you understand that prices are falling forever and deflation is the way of the future. That is why NVIDIA stock is falling. Not because people understand Bitcoin, but because people are pricing in problems for NVIDIA, because apparently China has created some sort of new open source AI that's, better for AI, but worse for the monetary premium of NVIDIA. And that's a really big opportunity for Bitcoin. Bitcoin's going to millions of dollars because of the money printing, yes, but because, more importantly, of the future technology that's being innovated today, and even more so because of the technology coming down the line. Where do I think that's going? Well, this is a wonderful chart by one of my favorite Twitter chart people online. This is in red. It's the price of Bitcoin so far this cycle, 2024 and 2025, compared historically to what it's been. Now, if you're going based on history and you believe in the power law, like myself, that history would say we're probably going to somewhere between $150,000 to $250,000 in the course of the next 6 to 18 months or so. That is entirely possible. However, a difference is the problem with the power law is that while I think reality is a power law, companies and corporate valuations are an exponential. They don't follow a power law. And so while I believe in the power law, and I think that it's going to take many decades for Bitcoin to become this global money, the reality is that at any moment, you can have a government print monetary premium for Bitcoin and hyper accelerate what it should be, right? I believe Bitcoin network follows a power law. Addresses follow a power law. Hash rate follows a power law. And so far, price in terms of political currency units follows a power law. However, at any moment, that power law could break to the upside because the dollars you're pricing Bitcoin within are an exponential, and they are on an exponential track. So my encouragement for you is where to expect Bitcoin is going. I think you should expect Bitcoin to go higher in the future, right? Again, if you look at history, you should expect Bitcoin to increase in the future. Probably it's going to double or triple at some point in the near future, right? If you're looking at Bitcoin from the lens of a power law, right? Every single bubble is having an exponential decay, right? Put it in log scale, right? Look at the red chart, overlay the 3 previous cycles onto this cycle, right? And pretty soon you realize that we still have a long bullish way to go. We're probably going to at least double or triple from here in the course of the next 1 to 2 years. However, again, I strongly encourage you to be prepared to the upside, because at any moment, we could have some new massive technological innovation. And unlike NVIDIA, where it crashes it down in a single day, if people actually understood Bitcoin is what prices it in, we could skyrocket beyond where we are today. So I would say plan on a doubling or tripling of Bitcoin from here, but I believe it is totally possible we see $1 million per Bitcoin in 2025. I believe it is even more likely we see $1 million per Bitcoin in 2026. I think it's even more likely we see $1 million in 2027. Every year you go out, I think the probability of seeing over $1 million per Bitcoin only goes up. Maybe we don't hit $1 million per Bitcoin this year. I surely don't know what's going to happen, but I do know as long as we keep printing money, as long as we keep building new innovations, and as long as Bitcoin remains decentralized and secure, Bitcoin price is going to go vertical. It is going to go dramatically up as we build more innovation and as we print more political currency units. And speaking of different kinds of political currency units, one kind of political currency unit is that of the political institution that is a corporation. Now, Michael Saylor has announced yet another new kind of a stock offering, right? These are securities backed by Bitcoin. This is a sign of how early you are to Bitcoin. In the very far future, these kinds of things will not exist. At some point, MicroStrategy stock will trend down against Bitcoin. At some point in the future, all of these securities will trend down against Bitcoin. But where we are right now is that all the premium of this real estate, of these stocks, of NVIDIA Corporation, of all these things, Michael Saylor is Trojan horsing these things via offering securities of Bitcoin. And so for a time, you're going to be able to outperform Bitcoin via these securities because you have all the price action of Bitcoin, plus it's sucking in the premium of these other assets as Bitcoin demonetizes those assets. But at some point in the future, People aren't even going to want the monetary premium of these securities at all. They're going to want Bitcoin because that's the real form of monetary premium with the lowest risk possible. So that's my encouragement. If you own MicroStrategy stock, if you own other kinds of altcoins or securities, even if it's these new kinds of securities Michael Saylor is issuing, you have to remember these things are trades. NVIDIA is a trade. Bitcoin is the last trade. MicroStrategy stock is a trade. Bitcoin is the last trade. Any kind of AI, any kind of real estate, anything with monetary premium that is not Bitcoin is a trade against Bitcoin. You're pricing these things in terms of Bitcoin. You're not pricing Bitcoin in terms of these things. This is the encouragement probably everybody needs to hear. It is the single most important monetary transition in the history of the human race. Bitcoin is absorbing the monetary premium of everything, of the technology that has been built, of the technology yet to be built, of the securities newly being issued, like Michael Saylor securities, and the securities already issued, like NVIDIA. Bitcoin will continue to absorb these things. And if Bitcoin absorbed all the monetary premium of the world today, at today's fiat prices, that'd be 43 million bucks a Bitcoin. And guess what? We're going to have 10 times more innovation, and we're going to have 10 times more political currency units. $43 million of Bitcoin is not bullish. Talk to me at 430 million or 400 or 4 billion or 40 billion, right? Like it sounds stupid and insane to us. But again, we can't price future technology in terms of previous technology. So as insane as hundreds of millions of dollars or billions of dollars of Bitcoin might seem, you have to keep in mind, we are going to increase the number of political currency units, and we are going to build more technology innovation. And Bitcoin is going to hit every single price target in nominal terms, and prices in terms of Bitcoin are going to fall and fall and fall towards the cost of marginal production, including one of the most valuable companies in the world, which is NVIDIA. NVIDIA, on this very short term of this daily price move, is reflecting a macro multi-decade trend. Everything is trending down against Bitcoin, including AI, even though I'm bullish on AI, including MicroStrategy, even though I'm bullish on MicroStrategy, including everything else in the world. If Bitcoin survives, you want to own Bitcoin in self-custody, being self-sovereign. This is why I desperately encourage you, increase your self-custody security. Make sure you have a tax plan. Make sure you have an exit plan for your MicroStrategy, whatever securities you have. Make sure that you're protecting your Bitcoin against legal litigation, against governments and everything else, because everybody in the world over the course of the next 10 to 20 years is going to realize if you want a voice in the future, if you want power in the future, you need Bitcoin. Bitcoin is digital cyber power that you are buying in the past for pennies on the dollar that most people are completely unaware of. Bitcoin is not going to $500,000 a coin. It's going to hundreds of trillions of dollars in market cap, millions and tens of millions of dollars per coin. And again, Bitcoin is priceless because it is pricing in future technology we can't even begin to understand yet. Thank you for watching this video. Please like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.